Hello, MavMind Collective, and welcome to another episode of the HypnoSales Show. Today we're going to be talking about the power permission technique. So I came up with this technique many years ago, and I've been training this technique with a lot of salespeople, sales engineers, professional services, many customer-facing roles in my career. And perhaps I taught this to you in the past and you found my video now, and now you see it in this video. This is a training video on this particular technique. So congratulations for finding it. And if this is the first time you're seeing this or hearing this on the podcast, then I hope you get something out of it. It's very powerful. And the way I came up with this technique was when I learned as a hypnotist about asking for permission. And I found the power of asking for permission. So it goes like this. If a client comes to me as a hypnotist and asks me to hypnotize them to stop smoking, for example, or any other number of things that they might want to improve in their life, overcome their fear of public speaking, for example, or stop biting their nails, or, stop overeating, any number of things, either vocational or avocational type improvements that they want to make. If I'm going to make sure that that works with the hypnosis that I administer with them, I have to get their permission first, or it won't work. Because the subconscious will block out anything that it doesn't allow. And if it doesn't allow it, if it doesn't approve it, it's going to block it out. So hypnosis won't even work with a client unless I get their permission and their approval to hypnotize them. So I actually have to ask them at some point during the hypnosis session, do you give me permission to hypnotize you right now? And they have to say yes. And when they say yes, now the hypnosis is actually already starting to work, because they're giving me permission and starting to let the words that I say from that point on into the subconscious. So I've learned this powerful permission technique basically from being a hypnotist. But what I've done is I've structured it in such a way to make it useful in a business sense, in a business setting. Especially if you're in a meeting with a client or prospect or customer and you're trying to figure out how to suggest something that you want to do in the meeting, and you're wondering if the client might have maybe a not so great reaction to it. Like, for example, if they're expecting you to do a demo and you don't want to do a demo yet, for example, how do you kind of break that to them? How do you communicate that to them without making them feel awkward if that's what they were expecting? In other words, you're going to potentially create a horns effect. If you watch my other video where I talk about halos and horns, not create a horns effect because they're expecting one thing and you need to tell them you're going to deliver them a different experience that's not congruent with what they were expecting, right? So it's not like this, it's like this, right? So using the power permission technique, this is what I would use in order to try to turn that around and put it back in my favor so I could control the situation and control the meeting, but also get them to agree and give me permission to take a different route. So let's say they want a demo and I don't want to do a demo. Well, I would use these 4 different elements here in order to ask the permission. So keep that in mind, and we'll come back to that. I'm going to talk about the 4 elements now. The first one is the intention statement. So this is my little way of reminding myself of what is my intention. Like, what do I want to do? What's my behavior going to be? What am I asking them to do? What's the intention? So this is the what. So I ask the what, and then I provide a reason that's based on social compliance. And social compliance is a very popular persuasion technique where it's basically, everyone else is doing it, so why don't you want to do it? Don't you want to do it? Everyone else is doing it. It's like using the fact that other people are doing it to where then there's actually a part in your brain, actually I think it's on this side, part inside your brain that when you see that and hear that compliance statement, that social compliance idea, concept, suddenly it actually overrides some of your own beliefs and thinking, and you'll actually agree with something because everyone else is doing it. And this has been proven over and over again, and if you can research that specific, that's a whole other topic of it in itself, this social compliance. But what I'm saying is I'm using that as part of the permission technique as my reason for wanting to intend to do this thing that I'm stating. So I want to do this and I want you to do that because other people are doing it. So it's something along those lines. Other people are doing it. And And then I have the third element here, which is the comfort objective. And this is based on the fact that subconsciously, we all want to be comfortable. We all want to be safe. In fact, that's what our subconscious is doing continually, nonstop. Am I safe? Am I comfortable? Is everything okay? It's always trying to figure out if it needs to either run away or fight, like it trigger the fight or flight or freeze, right? Remember I have another video talking about the F words of the subconscious: fight, flight, or freeze. The subconscious is always doing that, trying to keep you calm. As long as you're comfortable, then it's not in one of those other modes, and it's calm, and it's relaxed, and it's safe if it's comfortable. Now, but here's the trick. This is what you probably don't expect. I'm going to make the objective be my own comfort, not their comfort, not the client or prospect's comfort, my comfort, because I want them to be responsible for my comfort. That's the secret in this whole technique here. I want them to be responsible for my comfort. So if they don't agree with me, they're basically agreeing to make me uncomfortable, okay, if they don't agree. So that's kind of the little secret sauce there and how this works. And then, of course, last, I always do this one last, and this is where I actually ask for the permission. So I can actually do these three in any order that I want. It doesn't have to be in this sequence. This is how I remember it, as in my mind. But you can do these out of order, but you always do ask for permission, obviously, at the end with something like, is that okay? Do you give me permission to do that? Or whatever, something along those lines. So let's go back to the example of they're expecting a demo for whatever reason. I don't know. I didn't tell them. They just, started the meeting and said, hey, we'd like to see a demo. Maybe when you started the meeting and you said, what would you like to do today? And they said, we'd like to see a demo. And you're not going to deliver a demo. So what you do is you give them the intention thing and you say, well, actually, we're not going to do a demo today. We're actually just going to discuss things and do a little bit of discovery first. And the reason is because I've done this with 50, 100, 200 other clients already, and I find this to be way more productive and more valuable for my prospects and clients at this stage of the engagement. And it just would make me feel more comfortable to do it like I've done it with these 50, 100, 200 other clients before that has proven to be like very valuable for them and valuable for me. And so that's why I want to do it. And I feel more comfortable doing it that way first. And I feel more comfortable not doing a demo today. Would that be okay with you if we didn't do the demo and instead I could ask you some questions and do a little discovery? Would that be okay? Okay, so if you think about it, I did all three of these things here, and then I asked for permission at the very end. So again, here's what I want. Here's why I want it, because everyone else is doing it, or I've done it with so many other people. That's my way. I say I've done it with other customers. And then also, I feel more comfortable doing it. I make it about my comfort. Now, some of you might be listening and looking at this video, listening on the podcast and say, well, how come you said 50, 100, or 200 people? Why did you put the number in there? I could have easily said, I've done this with many, many other customers. And the fact is, you can totally say, because I've done this with many, many other customers, and I feel a lot more comfortable because I remember their reactions. It's really good. It's always positive, and they always thank me for it, and they always want me to not do the demo, just like I don't want to do a no with you. But why did I say 50 or 100 or 200? Well, that's another thing I've learned as a hypnotist, is that subconsciously we identify with numbers. Subconsciously we do more than words. Subconscious doesn't understand language and words. It understands feelings and emotions, but it also understands symbols. And numbers are symbols. So believe it or not, when I say the word 50 or 100 or 200, the subconscious is seeing the numbers. It's seeing the numbers. And probably when I was saying it, you were seeing the numbers pop up in your head when I was saying that. You can't help it. The subconscious, so I'm trying to get into the subconscious a little bit with that, using a number like that. So I'll typically say 50 or 100 customers I've done this with before, and it helps me to feel comfortable, and I want to feel comfortable today, so I'm not going to do a demo today. Instead, we're going to do discovery. Would that be okay? So that's how this works. Now, I can do this out of order. I could do the comfort, let's say I do the comfort objective first. For example, I could say, let me just start off by saying that I would feel a lot more comfortable right now. I would feel a lot more comfortable if we could like not do the demo. And the reason I don't want to do the demo is because I've done this with so many other customers, probably well over 100, 200 customers in the past. And each of those times, it turned out to be a better approach. And the customers were thanking me for not doing the demo in the first meeting and doing a discovery instead, because we were able to find out what the real pain was. And by the time I was ready to do the demo, I was much more prepared to do it. And they were much more enlightened and had a much better experience. So I feel more comfortable kind of doing it that way. Would that be okay? All right, so that's me putting things out of order. And you kind of, hopefully you're getting the gist of the components. But those are the components. What is it you're going to do? What's the behavior that you want to change that maybe they're not expecting? Why you want to do it? Because all these other people have done it, and maybe a specific number of people, whatever you feel comfortable saying, 50, 100, something like that. If you've met with thousands of customers, you can say that too. But what I found is that realistically, people, in my experience, latch on to more like 50, 100, 200, around in that range. They start to realize, wow, man, you have a lot of experience. And now if they were to tell me no, they have to basically tell me that I'm wrong about 50, 100, 200 different other customers that told me each of those times that I was right in doing it that way. So they have to fight against that compliance, and they don't want to do that. So subconsciously, they don't want to say no to what you're saying is true for 100, 200 people that you've dealt with. So they're fighting that tidal wave of that social compliance. And so they're just more likely to just comply and say, oh, okay, well, yeah, okay, well, if you think that's better. Oh, and then also, I don't want to make you uncomfortable either. So when you say this would make me feel more comfortable, if they tell you no, they're basically saying, I don't care about your comfort. You can be as uncomfortable as you want. Now, I will tell you, this hasn't happened very often, but I have had a few clients, one or two in my career, say no when I've done this. And it's typically because either they know they're not going to go with our product, or maybe they're like egotistical or a psychopath or something just crazy like that. Like they're just not, they don't exhibit normal behavior that you would in a normal business setting. They just have it out for me, or they just are generally mean. In general, they're mean to everybody and they don't really care. Kind of on the verge of narcissism, I would say, is the reason when I've experienced it. For the most part, most of my customers and clients and prospects have been very, very non-narcissistic and very cooperative. And by using this technique, they will just agree and go, that's great, I'm glad. And they feel almost more comfortable to go with what you're suggesting because all these other people have done it, and because they do want you to feel comfortable, just like they want to feel comfortable too. So you should be helping them to feel comfortable. They're helping you to feel comfortable, but you should bring that credibility of that social compliance with what you suggest. And then remember, ask them permission and get their approval. And then everything will be smooth sailing from that point on. Thank you for watching. I know you find value in these videos, didn't you? So if you, like me, are in a customer-facing role, I'm wondering if you want to watch another video now designed to help you get better at what you do every day. Or not. You don't have to watch another video if you don't want to.